Doctor, I used to be a strong person, and now I feel like my body is betraying me.
I often tell my patients, health doesn't disappear in a day, it slips away little by little when you stop paying attention to your body. I'm Dr. Noah Jupe, a physician specializing in elderly health, and I've spent over 20 years working in London. During that time, I've met thousands of patients, each carrying a different story about their body. Some filled with fear, some with regret, and others still holding on to hope. One patient I'll never forget is Mr. Peter Marshall, a 74-year-old former aerospace engineer, a man who once climbed onto aircraft wings in freezing weather without a hint of hesitation. But when I met him, even bending down to pick up a dropped book made him lose his balance. He looked at me and said, quietly, but sadly,
Doctor, I used to be a strong person, and now I feel like my body is betraying me.
I'll never forget that look, the look of a man who once believed he was invincible, now afraid of his own legs. The truth is, our bodies don't weaken overnight. They change gradually, year by year. After the age of 50, we start losing 1 to 2% of muscle mass each year, a natural process called sarcopenia, or age-related muscle loss. This doesn't just make us weaker, it affects balance, reflexes, and independence. I often tell my patients, health doesn't disappear in a day, it slips away little by little when you stop paying attention to your body. The problem is, most people think that weakness, stiffness, and aches are just part of getting old. But modern science says otherwise. Even at 60, 70, or 80, your body can still recover and grow stronger if you know how to move and nourish it properly. A study from Cambridge University found that just 20 minutes of light movement a day, walking, stretching, or balance work, can reduce the risk of falls and improve bone density by up to 30%. Another study from Oxford University showed that seniors who stay active can extend their lifespan by 3 to 5 years on average. And the best part? You don't need a gym or fancy equipment. All you need is a small space in your living room, a mat, and one simple decision: to start. I told Peter, your body isn't permanently weak, Peter. It's just waiting for you to wake it up. We began with very gentle movements, exercises inspired by the Japanese, which I call 6 movements for longevity. These are small, simple motions that have a big impact on your muscles, joints, and nerves. The Japanese are known for having some of the longest lifespans in the world, and part of their secret lies in their daily movement, light, natural, and consistent. These exercises don't require strength or flexibility. They're a blend of balance, stretching, breathing, and fluid motion. What I love most about them is that anyone, at any age, can begin. After just a few weeks, I saw Peter change. He no longer feared falling when stepping off a curb. His back didn't ache when standing for too long, and most importantly, he began to smile again when talking about his body. I remember him saying,
I didn't think such a simple movement could make me feel so much younger.
I replied, it's not the movements, Peter. It's your consistency that brought your body back to life. If you're reading this and wondering whether you can change, the answer is yes, absolutely. In the next parts, I'll walk you through each of the 6 movements that Japanese elders practice daily to stay strong, flexible, and confident. Just imagine in a few short weeks, you could walk lighter, sleep better, stand taller, and most importantly, stop living in fear of falling. It's entirely possible, and I'll show you how, step by step. So if you'd like to join me on this journey, please follow the channel, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I read every message, because that's how we learn and grow stronger together. When I first started training Mr. Peter, he looked at me hesitantly and said, Doctor, I haven't exercised since I retired. I'm afraid I won't have the strength for it. I smiled and replied, Peter, we don't need the strength of youth. What we need is patience. Every small movement is one step toward reclaiming your health. It's happy any ready well, it's habit beater om. I've always believed that recovery doesn't begin in the gym, it begins right at home, where you feel safe and comfortable. And it was there, in his living room, that I taught Peter 6 simple movements. The same daily exercises Japanese elders practice to stay strong, flexible, and steady well into their 70s, 80s, and beyond. The first movement I showed him was a morning full-body stretch. This is something almost every Japanese person does right after waking up. I told him to stand tall, take a deep breath, Raise both arms overhead and stretch from his heels all the way to his fingertips. Then release slowly, lower his arms, and exhale. At first, he laughed. "I thought only children did things like this," he said. But after just a few days, he told me he felt as if his body had been woken up. The stiffness in his joints eased, and he began to feel movement returning to his shoulders and back. Science supports this. Gentle stretching in the morning increases blood flow, improves circulation, and reduces joint stiffness caused by aging. It's like flipping a switch to wake your body before the day begins. The second movement was neck and shoulder rotation. I had him sit upright and slowly turn his head left and right, then tilt it down and back up. After that, he rolled his shoulders forward and backward. These simple motions relieve tension in the neck and shoulder nerves areas that often tighten from long periods of sitting or poor posture. I told him, "Peter, your body is like a machine. If you don't oil it, the joints will rust." Sure enough, after a week, he told me he could turn his head more easily while driving, and his chronic shoulder pain had almost disappeared. The third movement was hip rotation and side bends. I asked him to place his hands on his hips and make slow circular motions, 10 times each way. Then he leaned gently from side to side, feeling the stretch in his waist and hips. This is one of the most common exercises in Japan. It helps keep the hips and spine flexible, two key areas for maintaining balance as we age. He once joked, "I think I'm learning to dance, doctor." I laughed and said, "No, Peter, you're learning to take control of your body again," and said for about. The truth is, loss of balance is one of the main causes of falls in older adults. But by practicing these gentle movements every day, you train your brain and muscles to coordinate better, helping your body react faster when you start to lose balance. The fourth movement was knee bends and calf raises. I told him to stand near a wall or table for support, lift his heels, stand on his toes for 3 seconds, then lower them slowly, repeat 10 times. At first, his legs trembled, but I encouraged him. "Each lift makes your legs stronger, Peter. This exercise strengthens the calves and ankles, improves blood circulation, and enhances mobility." In Japan, people often do this while brushing their teeth or making tea simple, easy to remember, yet remarkably effective. The fifth movement was wrist and hand rotation. As we age, small joints like wrists and fingers tend to stiffen, especially for those who use phones often or have arthritis. I told Peter to rotate his wrists and open and close his hands several times a day. It's a small exercise, but it improves blood flow, reduces stiffness, and keeps your grip strong, an essential part of maintaining independence in daily life. I once told him, "The day you can make your own cup of tea without shaky hands, that's real freedom." In Mastered B. And finally, the sixth movement, deep breathing and rhythm control. I call this the movement of the mind. The Japanese pay great attention to breathing because it directly affects the heart, blood pressure, and nervous system. I guided Peter to inhale deeply through the nose for 4 seconds, hold for 2, and exhale slowly through the mouth for 6. Every morning, he would stand by his window, close his eyes, and breathe like this for a few minutes. One day, he said, "Doctor, I realized I've never truly breathed until now." Breathing is the bridge between body and mind. When you control your breath, you control your rhythm of life. After 3 weeks of consistent practice, I saw a real transformation in Peter. He stood taller, his steps were steadier, and his face looked brighter. He told me he slept better, his back pain eased, and he felt light in the mind. I told him, "That's the magic of consistency, Peter. Your body doesn't need perfection, it just needs daily care." These simple movements don't just strengthen muscles, they improve circulation, nerve function, and even mood. The Japanese call this seikatsu undo, life movement. It's not hard training, it's a way of living small motions every day for life. When I asked Peter how he felt after a month, he smiled and said, "I'm no longer afraid of falling. I feel at least 10 years younger." And I truly believe you can feel that too. No matter your age, your body can still come alive again. In the next part, I'll share how to combine nutrition, breathing, and daily habits to make these movements even more effective, helping you not just stay strong, but live freely and confidently. And if you're watching this video, don't forget to follow the channel, subscribe, and leave a comment below. After Peter became comfortable with the 6 basic movements, I began helping him build a lifestyle centered around health, not just a collection of exercises. I often tell my patients, your body can't be healthy if your mind is exhausted, and your mind can't rest if you neglect your body. That's the philosophy I learned from the Japanese balance between movement, nutrition, and rest. None of these elements stand alone, and none is more important than the others. We started with nutrition. After the age of 60, the body becomes less efficient at synthesizing protein. This means that even if you eat the same amount as before, your body builds less muscle. So I advise Peter to increase his intake of high-quality protein fish, eggs, chicken, Greek yogurt, lentils, and soy. We recalculated his diet. He needed about 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight each day. At 70 kilograms, that meant around 100 grams daily. He laughed and said, "So, I'll have to eat a dozen eggs a day then, doctor?" I smiled. "Not at all, Peter. Just spread your protein evenly throughout the day a bit, at breakfast, some at lunch, and a lighter portion in the evening." I also suggested he include leucine, an amino acid that triggers muscle synthesis. Leucine is abundant in eggs, lean meat, fish, and dairy. I explained that leucine acts like a switch, signaling the body that it's time to build muscle. After a few weeks on the new diet, Peter told me he felt more alert, less fatigued, and was sleeping more deeply than before. That's when I emphasized the second factor, rest. I've noticed that many older adults don't sleep well not because of insomnia, but because of constant worry. They dwell on the past, on what they've lost, and their minds never truly settle. I told Peter, sleep is when the body repairs itself, but if your mind doesn't rest, your body can't recover. This is reinforcement of the great telemate. We developed a bedtime routine, turning off the TV, putting down the phone, reading a few pages of a book, or listening to calm music. I also taught him the 4-6-8 breathing technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 6, and exhale slowly for 8. 2 weeks later, he said, "I'm not just sleeping better, I'm waking up feeling refreshed." Finally, we focused on the third factor, daily movement. I told him not to overexert himself, but to make movement a natural part of his day. I call it hidden movement, those small moments where you can move without thinking of it as exercise. When brushing your teeth, lift your heels a few times. When making tea, roll your shoulders or rotate your wrists. When watching TV, stand up and walk around every 20 minutes. Peter took this advice to heart. He told me he now rotated his hips while waiting for the kettle to boil and stretched lightly throughout the day. One afternoon, he laughed and said, "Doctor, my wife says I look like I'm dancing in the kitchen." I chuckled. "That's perfect, Peter. It means you're living, not just existing." After 3 months, the results were remarkable. His health markers improved significantly. His blood pressure stabilized, his heart rate became more regular, and his bone density slightly increased. But what pleased me most wasn't the numbers. It was the confidence in his eyes when he said, "I'm no longer afraid of falling, doctor. I feel in control of my body again." I told him, "No one can keep you standing forever, Peter. But if you care for your body the right way, it will keep you standing strong for a very long time." Then good eye. In more free tell him, the human body has an incredible memory. It remembers every movement, every breath, every meal. When you treat it well, it rewards you with strength and resilience you thought you had lost. The Japanese have a philosophy I deeply admire called ikigai, the reason to wake up each morning. For them, small daily habits like the 6 movements aren't just about living longer, but about living with purpose, confidence, and joy. I told Peter, true strength doesn't come from muscle, it comes from the will to live better each day. He smiled and nodded. In that moment, I knew he had found his own ikigai to keep moving, gently, confidently, and never give up. In the next part, I'll show you how to connect everything we've discussed from the 6 movements to nutrition, rest, and proper breathing into a complete plan that helps you stay strong, flexible, and full of vitality at any age. A few months later, Peter came back to see me. He walked in with a steady step, a bright face, and said, "Dr. Collins, this morning my wife and I walked around the lake for almost an hour, and I didn't feel tired at all. I feel young again." I smiled. "It's not the lake that's changed, Peter, it's you." His progress didn't come from luck or miracles, but from small habits repeated every day. 6 simple movements, balanced meals, and a few moments of calm breathing gradually helped his body recover. I call it the golden circle of health: nutrition, movement, and rest. Eat right. Include good protein like fish, eggs, yogurt, or beans, plus vegetables, fruits, and 15 minutes of morning sunlight. Move daily. Spend 20 minutes a day on the 6 basic movements: stretching, shoulder and hip rotations, heel raises, wrist circles, and deep breathing. Rest well. Turn off screens, relax, read, or listen to gentle music. Deep sleep is when your body rebuilds strength. When these 3 work together, your body renews itself. You don't need perfection, only consistency. The last time I saw him, Peter said, "I'm no longer afraid of falling, doctor. I feel truly alive." I replied, "That's my goal, Peter, to help you live fully each day. Remember, true strength isn't in your muscles, but in your will to live better." Thank you for joining me. I'm Dr. Noah Jupe. If you'd like a detailed guide to these 6 movements, comment 1, subscribe, and follow the channel. Health isn't a destination, it's a journey, and that journey can begin today.